Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Pigboy25 here, and today I am bringing you the finale of my top 100 coaster countdown bonanza. We've made it. We've made it. It's just, I'm lost for words with this. It's taken us 6 months. I forget when I started it. I think it was like late August to September, and it's March 5th. I'm recording at 10 at night because I wanted to get this up. It's just killing me that I couldn't get this up. And, it's just, it really just, I'm lost for words. I don't expect this to be the long video, but I'll probably get nose deep into the conversations just in these coasters. There's some really top class coasters in this one. With the first two are personal development, but the 8 after that are like top class. They are extremely good coasters that I would recommend anybody to ride. If it's your first time, if it's your first coaster ever, do it. Just do it, please. It's a good coaster. You don't want to miss out. And there are repeat parks in this one. There is, like, not every park I've been to will have a top 10 coaster. Several have been eliminated, but, I mean, you'll see as you go on for yourself. And if you've watched the previous parts, you'll see that go on as well. I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for this. I've been hanging you guys up in the air for too long, too much suspense. I kind of got to get right through it. Number 10 is Raging Bull. Now, I said last part in Goliath's entry, you will see my home park favorite on the next part. Here it is. It's the Hometown Wonder, and probably the ride with by far the most bias that I've ever had to any ride in the universe. It's Raging Bull. I've been riding this coaster since 2010. It was my favorite from 2010 to 2013, where a coaster later in the list will be seen, overtook it. I have a few hundred rides in this thing in 6 seasons. I've taken countless friends on this ride, whether they're veterans or they're first-timers. Not fifth-timers, first-timers. Taken many people on Raging Bull for the first time, possibly even their first coaster. And here in the Chicago area, if you even are remotely interested in going to Great America, you have to ride Raging Bull in order to be a man, basically. As one of the childhood things. I still do that, because I still have one of my best friends is still not ridden this thing. And me and my other friend still just keep antagonizing him every time he's here to ride this thing. It won't hurt him. I don't know what he's so afraid about. I don't even think he has a fear of heights. He can go on other coasters just fine. This one's not that bad. It's really good. And this thing might not be particularly praised by coaster enthusiasts, but I always, always, always come off this ride with a smile and a desire to go back and ride again. Also, a little fun fact, this is probably one of the only rides I know of with the ride itself has its own mascot. His name's Billy the Bull. He's a pretty cool guy. I've seen him once. He's not out that often. Like to catch him again, because he's actually a lot shorter than you think he sounds, but yeah, moving on. Storm Runner. This is my number 9 coaster. This is the last personal development choice I'm ever going to have on this list, and in the series, probably. Not to say that I won't keep personally developing in the coaster enthusiasm scheme of things, but this one, I really like this ride because of personal development. This is another ride most coaster enthusiasts, they think highly of, but it's not like top 10 worthy. But this Mir coaster here marked a huge step to coaster enthusiasm. This was the first accelerator coaster I ever enjoyed. No accelerator. I was riding Maverick, which will be another entry on this list, coming up soon. I did ride it, but that was a mid-course launch, so we were already having speed when we got launched, but this is like the first accelerator coaster I liked. Because I've ridden Poltergeist and V2, and I skipped Joker's Jinx at America because of this, and it took some serious convincing for me to actually get on those rides. And this was the first accelerator coaster I actually enjoyed, and I've never passed up on a launch coaster ever since. And you will see my favorite launch coaster on this list, and that accelerators more specifically. I mean, this is my favorite coaster at Hershey Park as well, so Hershey Park will not be seen from this point on the list. And same with Great America. So yeah, this is a huge step. Now we're going to actually get to some really, really good rides. These are rides I'd recommend almost anybody to ride. Like I said earlier, and these rides I'd go on over and over and over again. If I had a park of my own, of all the coasters I've ridden, these would be the highlight attractions for me. Number 8 is Intimidator at Carowinds. I gotta give this ride credit for what it does, though it's not to an exactly extraordinary level. Fine airtime, graceful and modern BNMS experience, and plenty of other aspects that I quite love about B&M Hypers. Drop and the sensation of free falling, the swooping turns, the occasional bursts of airtime, and the low to the ground turns occasionally. They're great. I mean, this thing would be so much better if the trims were off. I know Raging Bull is the exact same thing, but personal bias happens, and it has been happening for up my 7th year now. This is no excuse, and considering in 2016 I know what defines a good coaster from a mediocre coaster, or what makes a good hyper from a mediocre or bad hyper, this could have rivaled my favorite hyper on this list, which you will see later. I mean, everything would be better if the trims were off. The front, the middle, back, everything. I still really like it. This ride, don't get me wrong, this ride is still fantastic. I really like almost everything about this ride. There are a few things I would change, but I still really love this ride. And even with the bad trims, I still think it delivered a great time for exactly 2 times I rode this thing. One on my first day, one on my second day. I think I actually rode this 3 times, though. 2 or 3 times, one of those numbers. Number 7 is Top Thrill Dragster, my favorite accelerator coaster. It might not do much, but it does what it does so well that even seasoned coaster enthusiasts always come on this ride with an adrenaline rush and a huge smile. It has delivered the single largest adrenaline rush I've had in my entire existence. It's intense, I grayed out in the entire thing, the sensation of just shooting up, over, and down in 20 seconds, going 120 miles an hour. It was incredible. I really want to ride this thing again, over and over. I want to black out on this thing even. This thing is absolutely insane. And I want to get a front row ride as well, so I can feel 120 miles of wind and mayflies to my face. Mayflies won't exactly be welcome, but the wind is always welcome, especially on a 90-degree day. I mean, and this thing stands menacing over the midway. This thing is extremely dominant. You can see this thing from the front of the park, from the back of the park, from all angles of the park, from even miles away. If you're not graying out at the top, you can get a brief view of the Lake Erie, but I was graying out at the top. This ride just takes up so much space, but it's so good. It's incomplete, I know, but it does what it does so well. I can give it quality for what it does. Just everything. I do wish that the final drop was straightened, though. The curve was nice, the spin was nice, but just dropping without spinning just would have made it far more intense. It just would have, falling 420 feet at a completely vertical angle with no extra added bowl, it's just so much better. And this is the first of 3 entries at Cedar Point that will be featured on this list. This is the worst of the 3, so to say. Better's to come. Number 6 is Wicked Cyclone. Now, this is one of the biggest underdogs of the year. I was not expecting to like this ride as much as I did going into Six Flags New England. And the thing that I rode this thing third in my day, after Flashback, a Boomerang, and New England Sky Screamer, which is a Sky Screamer, and the combined later disappointment of Superman, the ride, which was number 18 in this list, I believe, and it just put this ride much higher than I ever thought it would. I'm a huge fan of the Cyclone model. I've always loved Viper at my home park until it got rough and it needs some track work. I love the layout, I love the charm, I love the history, and when RMC does a Cyclone model, turns an old Din Cyclone like George Cyclone to something actually rideable, it's amazing. The airtime is literally everywhere. Everywhere. You're out of your seat more than you are in your seat. And the airtime's all ejector as well. I love ejector airtime. The ride is small, it's short in stature, it's compact, but it's powerful. I love the power of this ride. It's just a rush. You're rushing through everything. It's one airtime hill, one 0G roll, one 0G stall after another. Does double down at one point. It's just wild. This ride is absolutely insane. Just my only complaint is that it does not maintain its speed too well. Right around the second inversion, which I believe is a 0G roll, it starts losing its speed and it crawls towards the finish. You still get some pops of airtime during those, but it does lose its speed during the ride. It's a bit sluggish towards the end, I will say. It's just, that's my only complaint. But this ride is definitely 9.5 out of 10 at the very least in my book. This is an incredible ride. And now number 5 is Diamondback. Now this is my personal favorite hypercoaster in existence. And I love that this ride is balanced. This is one of the most balanced rides I've ever been on. Like 80 mile per hour plus speeds, 230 foot tall heights, airtime, intensity, everything is balanced very well. And this was the first hypercoaster I rode with the V seating, because I'd rode Raging Bull was the only B&M hyper I've ridden until before this, or Goliath as well. Goliath had over Georgia as well. Actually, I think I rode that later that year. No, I think I rode it earlier that year, yeah. So Goliath had over Georgia as well. But this was the first one I rode with V seating. And just a back ride on this coaster was the literal best thing of this day. And it trumped everything that the lesser hypers did, even before the mid-course break run. It's a shame that I only rode this once, but I will end up going back to Kings Island. Mystic Timbers is definitely on my list for that, and I want to ride this thing at least 5 more times. I want to tire a front row, I want to go in the back row like 3 times, and I just want to hang out in the merchandise shop and buy a soda or something. Just cheers to this thing. I'll drink to that. And not beer, soda. Because soda's great. And just... And if they put a Giga in, I will drive there myself. If I have to. If they put a Giga in here. But that's a theory for another day. Now, number 4 is Iron Rattler. This is my favorite RMC in existence, and the biggest question mark of this top 10. Since my last ride on Iron Rattler was May of 2014, it's a long time ago, it's more of a haze of a memory, but from what I do remember, it was fantastic. I mean, it was fast, airtime packed, intense, unique, interaction with the quarry wall was great, the bank turns were amazing, the inversion was anything I've ever experienced before. But the thing I love about this ride the most is that it is the single smoothest ride I've ever been on. Like, the transition issues were non-existent, the train was uber comfortable, it had no rattle whatsoever, despite it being called Iron Rattler. It just, everything. And this was before RMC went to their own custom trains. This is when they were using Gerstlauer for their trains. And this didn't have the necessary seatbelts like the new Texas Giant did as well, if I remember correctly. This was 2014, so they weren't as concerned about it. But the new Texas Giant incident did happen at that point. And this is the problem I need. This is a joke that I've always stated in this countdown. I need to get back to Six Flags Fiesta Texas. Many times before, and just like I said many times before, it's over a day away, non-stop in a car. It'll be very difficult, but it'll be worth it. And thus, that'd probably be the last time I'll say, I need to get back to Six Flags Fiesta Texas. Because this thing could even surpass number 3 and number 4, depending on how much I like it on the re-ride. Just think of it as a recertification of the credit. Number 3 is Maverick. Now, this ride is absolutely insane. This is an out-of-control experience. The name is very fitting, because it's like, everything is just like you're on a bucking bronco. It is the single longest duration I've ever put my body through. Everything is just insane. It is the ultimate package. It includes everything. LIM launch lift, soft restraints that are over the shoulder, beyond vertical drop, insane ejector airtime. That first hill after banking right after the drop, it is probably the single most ridiculous airtime I've ever experienced. It's got 0 G rolls, a launch as well, a horseshoe roll, more airtime, constant intensity, and whiplash. It has it all. It's just all we need is visual effects, backwards portion, and some actual theming. And this ride has everything. And visual effects, that might mean the shed, or that might mean VR. But please, for the love of God, do not put VR on this thing, because this ride is perfect as is. It's probably one of the first rides on here that I'd be getting a 10 out of 10. Diamondback would probably get like a 9.5. Iron Rattler would probably get a 10 out of 10. Maverick gets a 10 out of 10. And the next 2 rides are most definitely getting... Well, maybe not the next one, but number 1 for sure is getting 10 out of 10. It's just, this ride is nuts. I just want to say. I just want to go through it one more time. It has everything. It's nuts. It's intense, insane. It's out of control. I can ride this all day if my body can handle it. Just one ride in this thing is an adrenaline rush, but a bit much on due to the constant aggressive motions. It's aggressive as well. I just love this ride so much, and I could be going back to Cedar Point next year, so I definitely got to hit this thing up another 3 times. And now number 2 is Millennium Force. Now this and Maverick are so much different. They're so far apart in terms of ride experience. They're just so good. Personal preferences alone separate the two. Millennium Force is my first Giga, and it was often against the mental fight with Iron Rattler and Maverick for best coaster up until the current number 1 blew all 3 of them out of the water with one shot in August of 2016. It's tall, fast, and it can deliver some good forces on a good day. I just love the classic coaster memento of full circuit, taller, faster. Think of it as like one of those Wall Street journalists saying that. Taller, faster! Something like that. Just that reasoning compels the coaster enthusiasm, the coaster manufacturers to constantly expand their horizons and build something bigger and better than they ever have done before. And I love that mentality. And I just feel that I feel and relate to that family of rides. That's why I love hypercoasters so much. I really like tall and fast. I came off this thing, it was instantly my favorite ride in 2013. Iron Rattler was very stiff competition. Maverick butted into the picture when I rewrote in 2016. It was really good. Maybe 2015, but definitely 2016. And just, it didn't blow them out of the water. It just was constantly competing for my favorite. Those 2 through 4 are so close together that if I rode them all on the same day, I probably could not tell you which one was my favorite. They're so close together. 2 through 4, we're throwing numbers together. And everything here is so close together. But especially 2 through 4. Those are so close together. And there's a rather large gap between Diamondback and Iron Rattler. Like I said, 2 through 4, I'm going to say it again, there's almost nothing between them. So Iron Rattler is a 4th place because of a question mark, because of uncertainty due to not riding it in almost 3 years now. Maverick because of personal preference, but it's a better ride when it comes to the experience. Millennium Force personal preference just puts it just slightly above. But this was last year's first place finisher. We will now reveal the new best coaster of 2016. It's been taking names, getting numbers, and it's just completely amazing. I visited the park for this sole reason. I had high expectation, and it still blasted past them. This is my favorite coaster for 2016, still into 2017, and will most likely be my favorite coaster for many years onward. I rode this thing proudly, 11 times in 2 days, in all sorts of rows, in all sorts of positions, in all sorts of fashions, all sorts of poses for the ride photo. It is the one, the only, Fury 325. Holy fucking this thing is absolutely amazing. And the dramatic language is not even enough of an indicator of how much I love this ride. It does everything so well. I'm just getting shivers talking about this ride. I just yearn to ride it again. Put it in my backyard or something. I'll buy it. If I was a billionaire, I'd buy it for 500 million even. It's incredible. The drops in eternity, the turns are freaking huge. The airtime is really great towards the back half. It just keeps its speed. It keeps going at a really fast pace. Front row is absolutely incredible. And so much more. I was already prepared upon visiting Carowinds for this ride to be my favorite, but not by this margin. It was unlike anything I had ever experienced before. I love the mentality of the taller, faster, of the competitive full-circuit coaster manufacturers. But combining it with probably my all-time favorite manufacturer, B&M, because they always produce a reliable and kick-ass ride. It blew the other three, 2 through 4, out of the water and sent them off to another planet. And I highly doubt that anything that is currently existing will come close to beating this. But I only can ride to find out. I can go on for days about how this ride is. This is... My only advice is ride it. Ride it, re-ride it, and ride it again. And buy all the things. Buy a shirt. I'll buy a shirt and a soda. They're all good. Everything's good. This ride is good. Fury's good. Everything's good. Not everything's good. So, with the epilogue. Now that you know my list of 2016, I could lay this series to rest. For never again it'll be a burden. It'll forever live as a blessing. I'd love this again for 2017. For everything was so rewarding. Maybe by that point, I could have reached 150 credits. But I have to ride to find out. Finn. Whatever that means. Well, there we have it, guys. That is my top 10 of my 100 Coaster Countdown Bonanza. I don't have to worry about the series again. I'm not putting anything else in that playlist. I can focus on other things. I can put up more reviews before opening week in about 8 weeks from now. I can start... It's getting closer and closer to the spring season. It's just... Everything is getting so close. It feels so good to have this series done. Everyone can see my opinions. I mean... I just want to thank you guys so much. I'm just going to go right to the cheesy outro right now. I just thank you so much. For those who have watched every episode the minute it is uploaded, you're the real MVP. You're really, really loyal. And I continue to appreciate your combined viewership. I may have been slacking in the comment game as recently. I'm incredibly busy. I work 3 to 4 days a week for 6 hours as well. We're entering the busy season for my dog sitting job, but that's how I'm going to afford Valley Fair and Nickelodeon Universe and possibly going to like Mount Olympus and Indiana Beach, Cedar Point, Holiday World, Kings Island, Kentucky Kingdom, all those places. This will pay for it. It'll help keep my family afloat. My parents can go to Edmonton. My dad can fulfill his lifelong dream of going to Banff National Park in the Canadian Rockies. It's very hectic. The past weekend was incredibly loud, incredibly busy with dogs, but it was worth it. I persisted. Just thank you guys so much, and I really hope you've enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to like, comment, and do yourself a favor and subscribe, because I plan on making much more of this type of content. I have no plans on stopping, even with my busy agenda. Don't expect it constantly, but when you do, expect some quality stuff. So, with that all wrapped up, hope you guys have enjoyed. You want to see, we can have debates, we can have more. If you want to see this next year, let me know. I have no problem doing this again. It occupied the whole winter. I said that at the beginning of the series, this is going to be like 2 months, 3 months. This lasted until March of 2017. I started in September of 2016. I'm lost for words. It's 10:20 at night. I just want to go to sleep. I really hope you have a good time. A lot of the middle United States parks are going to start opening for the season later this month. Like maybe North Carolina, like Dollywood and Carowinds and maybe Discovery Kingdom. Parks in Southern California and Texas have already opened. Florida. There's lots of things. We're getting closer to the on-season. I'm extremely hyped for the on-season. One of the things I love sincerely and will always love sincerely will keep going. So, I'll just say one last time. I don't want to go any longer. If you guys have enjoyed the video, like, comment, and even subscribe. And I hope you guys have a great insert unit of time here. Great X. Just... because fill it in yourself. I don't want to generate numbers for you. And as always, peace.